And we're live. I'm Don. It's late. I'm up. And I want to play with you. Tonight we're going to be watching the wonderful film Pet Sematary. Not many Stephen King adaptations to film work well. It's changed over the last few years. The last decade or so, or last 20 years, I'd say, there's been more Stephen King movies that actually work. But prior to that, King was considered unfilmable. So this is one of the ones that sort of turned the tide. It steered the nose of the plane back up. It was originally going to be directed by George Romero, but it ended up being directed by Mary Lambert. It was a film that actually wouldn't even have been made if there wasn't going to be a writer's strike, and there was going to be no new movies or no new scripts to get made and put out. So they had Pet Sematary, the screenplay for it, forever. And then when they needed stuff to try to make movies during the downtime, it ended up being Pet Sematary. So this movie's tried to be snuffed out several times, but no, and indeed it exists, and it's pretty dang awesome. So I'm going to be watching this tonight on Max. I believe, let's see, where else do we got it here? It is also on Hulu. Hulu premium subscription, Roku premium subscription, Amazon premium subscription, YouTube premium subscription. So I would go with Max. This movie came out in '89, so it's got a little bit of a funky retro feel to it, but at the same time, it's cool. This stars Dale Midkiff, who I have no idea who that is. We'll dig into his work as we go. I thought we would also talk about Stephen King adaptations, some of our favorites, some of our least favorites, the ones that worked, the ones that didn't, why they worked, why they didn't, etc. So, it's 102. I figure I'll get started at 105. I've already brought it up on Max here to get it ready. This is one I find particularly scary. I don't know. Some movies just have, chords that they string in or touch inside of you, right? And so this one, for some reason, it has so many different parts that are memorably uncomfortable. And we'll talk about that as they come up. But overall, I'm a fan of it. I never saw it at the theater. It came out in '89, and that was after a slew of Stephen King movies had done bad. Pretty much only The Shining and Christine and maybe Cujo had success, but Maximum Overdrive and a variety of other ones, a lot of the made-for-TV stuff, it just wasn't working. So this is one of the better adaptations. I dig it. I thought we would give this a watch and talk about Denise Crosby and Star Trek and a variety of other things. So we'll get started here in a couple minutes. I've got it queued up on Max. Let's see what the description is here. Where's my stuff? Got to get into my stuff. Let's see. Pet Sematary. The description is Stephen King's shocking tale about a family that is introduced to a cursed burial ground that brings the dead back to life. Max always cuts off the last word on their descriptions. Like they make you hit more just to see one more word. I don't know why they do that, bastards. But tonight's stream will be brought to you by the Night Owl Movie Talk merchandise store. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. I'll also make sure it's at the top of the comments. It's also available in the description. So if you need yourself a nice new shirt for the summertime, you need yourself a coffee mug that says Spork on it, lots of variety and option jumping off over there. So feel free to give that a watch. Oh, hello, Mayanne. Welcome. Nice to see you. My friend Mayanne has joined us. Actually, Mayanne makes me laugh. When I started doing this, I thought of her. She frequently says, "He wants to play with you." That's one of the scarier lines in this movie. So I thank you for being here, Queen of Horror. And hey, JT. Yes, also, right now at the same time, my friend JT Horror Discussions is having a premiere for his review or podcast of review of Amityville 2. So, feel free to say hi, pop in there, give JT a yo, support him, hit the like button. As a matter of fact, while you're at it, hit the like button here. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to tell a friend. But overall, I thought we would get this done. It's an hour and 43 minutes tonight. So that's not too long, 103. Let's see here, man. It says, fun fact, this was the second horror horror movie I ever watched. Scared me so much. Yeah, this one has, I don't know, I've said it a million times, 3 good scenes, no bad ones. This one has a handful of really good, memorable scenes and this creepy, weird stuff. it's one of the few times a Stephen King story is kind of all over the place. Most of his stuff has some weird supernatural element to it, plus the emotional drama stuff. And this one, it actually all works together really well. So, hey, JT popped in to say, hey, May. Yeah, like I said, JT's, he's going to jump back and forth. I appreciate that, buddy. So if any of you need to jump back and forth and check out JT's premiere for Amityville 2. Amityville 2 I'm not that familiar with. I've seen 1 so many times, and they made the remake just down the street from where I'm at. It's like literally 10 miles away. So I don't know. I always dug Amityville, but Amityville 2 I never got into, and then I stopped after that. I think I tried 3D once, and it was brutal. Let's see here. Also, I see my friend Anthony Chabot is here. Anthony Chabot does pop culture openings too. Oh, you got multiple accounts. Nice. He says, hi, Mayanne. We all love Mayanne. Echo is here. Hi, kids. Watching my phone. Still have no power. You're out of power, Echo? I didn't know that. You got storms there or something, I assume? So anyways, what am I doing? Echo. Cha, cha, cha. Zero. It's raining Boglands, brother. Glad to have you here. Folks are saying hi to Anthony. Folks are saying hi to Echo. I was liking everybody gets along. Watch Doctor Who. Oh my God, what an episode! Oh yeah, is it the new one's rolling out now or something? I tapped out after I don't know, David Tennant or actually what was his name, Matt Smith or whatever. I think that was the last time I watched it, and then they got off into so many different doctors I couldn't keep track. About the time they had a lady doctor, I was interested in checking it out, but I still haven't gotten around to it. But I like Doctor Who, the newest incarnation of it. The one when I was a kid was weird. It was the guy with the scarf and the curly hair. That was it'd be on PBS in the middle of the night. And it's like, this is kind of like Star Trek, but like cheap Star Trek. So to see Doctor Who get the cool modern version of it that's that people love, I dig that. It's like when they redid Battlestar Galactica in 2000, like that kind of cheap looking show that I loved from a kid. The idea that they threw more money at it, make it better, and I dug it. I prefer it to the original. Oh, really? Amityville 2? Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't believe. I mean, I maybe have seen it like once, but I didn't commit it to memory or nothing. 2 is so 2 is so fucking strange. Oh, okay, that's what we're talking about. Gotcha. I'm getting to return to Nukem High Volume 2 Tuesday. Nice. Did you order that online or something? Or I mean, he's almost up to 1997 in his memoirs. That's good. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Anthony is currently in the middle of his memoirs. So he's cranking it out. He's been on 96 for a while. I see he's on 97, so he's making a nice progression. Attaboy, Anthony. Yeah, the new ones. Okay, good deal. There was a fire on the other side of town, and then a second fire took the power out for a few towns. Dang. Sounds like you okay over there, buddy? You need to get a hose or a bucket of water or something? I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, I agree, JT. That's exactly my sentiment. I was kind of teasing him about storms, but now I'm worried about my guy. So be safe, my friend. Despite no power. Hey, Don, what's up, everyone? Sean, Cinephile Sanity is here. I was hanging out watching Sean. He was on Texas Hardcore Russell, his channel tonight. They were watching Head, the old Monkeys movie. I believe that was maybe Jack Nicholson's first film. But yeah, it was cool to check it out with those guys. Those dudes are always fun. Him and Juno and the whole crew they got over there. Then their chat, fun bunch of people. Yeah, everybody's welcome, Sean. I'll be watching, but I'm a bit busy. Oh yeah, well you've seen it before, so it's not that important. But you can hear my in-depth thoughts on this one, like who the hell is Dale Midkiff and what else has he been in? But yeah, I don't know. I dig this one. It's creepy as heck, and there's going to be lots of beats where I'm just like, this is good. Just woke up. I got to go back to bed. Have a good stream, guys. Thank you for dropping by, Sean. I appreciate it. Yeah, be sure to check out Cinephile Sanity TV on YouTube. Sean's always doing good watch-alongs, and like I was just saying, he has a really fun crew over there and an active chat full of cool people. Other than no power, we are okay. All right, good deal, Echo. That's what I like to hear. I passed out for a few hours too. I just woke up an hour ago. It must be a sleepy Saturday. I fell asleep at like 9 earlier. I don't know what happened. I was like, that's a very unlike me to get an early evening nap. So needless to say, I'm wide awake. So I thought, let's watch a movie, right? Speaking of let's watch a movie, it is currently 1:10. That's 5 minutes past I thought we would go. So I'm going to go ahead and press play on this one. It's currently on Max. Pet Sematary 2 is also available on Max. So we might have to check that out at some point as well. I dug it. But I'm going to go ahead and press play on this in 3, 2, 1, watch now. And there's the little scrolly thinky bar thing. HBO fanfare plays. That's my favorite part. I watch all these movies with the captions and the subtitles, so I always see fanfare plays. This is a Paramount movie. I'm trying to remember who owned it originally. It was like Romero was going to direct it, and it was under Embassy Pictures, but Romero wasn't available to direct this because he was doing Monkey Shines at that point. There's some debate we were discussing the other night. Do you think Monkey Shines will ever be one of those movies that they remake? Like, they're going to remake, all of it, Night of the Living Dead, all of that stuff. They did remake Night of the Living Dead, but they also redid Dawn of the Dead and a bad version of Day of the Dead. So I don't know if they'd ever get around to Monkey Shines or Martin. There's a handful of weird Romeros. I don't know if they'll do. What we need is another Creep Show, a good one, not like Part 3. So we open up on the Pet Sematary. It's if you notice in the title of this and the title of the movie and the poster and everything, cemetery is spelled wrong because the plot of the movie is that that's where these kids go to bury their dead animals so they come back to life. So since children wrote the sign, they spelled it wrong, like keep out on the clubhouse or whatever. So the intentional misspelling of it, or sort of phonetic misspelling of it, gives it a bit of charm, I think. We're just doing a weird pull out across all these handmade wooden graves where the kids have gone and buried their animals so they'll come back to life. The idea is that this is an old Indian burial ground. That was super popular in the 80s. Like in the 70s, there was a lot of remorse over all the, really you have to go back before the 70s. Before that, it was all cowboys versus Indians. So everybody rooted for the cowboys and against the Indians. And then around the late 60s and the 70s, people got kind of woke about the Indians, or Native Americans, I should say, at that point. And that's when they quit becoming Indians. So the Native Americans, folks were very sympathetic to their plight and how they were pushed into reservations and everything. And a lot of stuff like Poltergeist and a variety of other things really tapped into Native American culture and things that went on before white people inhabited this land. And this taps into that. So supposedly this is an old Indian burial ground, and when you bury things in it, they come back, but they don't come back quite right. They're slightly off, sort of murderous zombie types. But later on, Fred Gwynne will give us a real good explanation of that. Let's see here. Sean says, hit the like button. I thank you, everyone. Please do hit the like button. And thank you, Sean, for stopping by and rousting up some likes for me. My mom ordered. Oh, so you're going to get it. That's cool. You're going to get delivered. Let's see here. Brother Max is here. Get your Iris Springs Old Spices and Coochie washes. It's time for a group hug in the shower. Brother Max. Brother Max is an awesome dude. I like Brother Max. Glad you could be here, my friend. It's you contributing to the party. So there's the famous sign, Pet Sematary, Setary. And this, to me, looks like a set. The grass looks fake, but the skies look real. The wind's blowing. I don't know. That's a tough call. But there's like this thicket of all these like old sticks and everything. So it's super creepy with like the way it just is an unsettling looking place, the Pet Sematary. And then later on, when we do the big overhead shot, you can see like the circular designs, almost like crop circles. And it starts with a truck. Like as soon as we leave the cemetery, the scene is broken up by a semi-truck driving by, which is one of the huge parts of this story, is the semi-truck massacre stuff. Here where you start off, we see the family. They arrive at their new home. We see the guy has a bumper sticker that says, have you hugged your MD today? So it tells you right away this dude's a doctor. The plot of this is very Green Acres. This is something I can relate to right now. It's I as well, much like the people in this movie, used to live in the city and have moved to the country for a little peace and quiet. So these people do the same thing, the old Green Acres bit, except it's not cool because they're right next to a highway where trucks go barreling by super fast. And you can guess what's going to happen there. The idea from that came from King. He lives in, well, obviously it's his story, but King lived in Maine and was off and around the New England area. And one day he was out running or maybe going for a walk along the side of the road, and he got hit by a car. So that situation like shook him up. He might have even been a truck, and he basically was run over. So because of that, he was traumatized by it, and that ends up in this story is Stephen King's car accident. Oh, there's Baby Gage. Baby Gage is scary as heck. Scary as all spork out. Have I read the book? I did. I read it once when I was very young. I went through a kick where I read like it, and it was a hard read. Misery was a very easy read. I enjoyed Misery. And then Pet Sematary. And then what was the other one I read? Needful Things. I tried to read some of the, what is it, Two Towers, Ivory Tower, whatever the hell it is. The stuff later on, like with Duma Key and a bunch of the other stuff. But his later works didn't appeal to me as much. I always wanted to read the original Shining. I've heard about the original, the book itself, not the movie. So there's another truck barreling by the road going way too fast. And we see that the kids, if they are left alone for 1 second, they will wander out into that busy road. Oh, let's see here. Folks are saying hi to each other. I'm going to get traumatized all over again. So there, the baby walked across the street, and Fred Gwynne comes and saves him. He's the neighbor across the street. Fred Gwynne is really good in this. I don't know if I'd ever seen. I mean, he's Herman Munster, and he's Car 54. Where are you? But that's all black and white, and that property. So Fred Gwynne wasn't really getting used that much. So it was nice to see him dusted off for this. He really plays this role well. Judd. I'm currently reading Christine. Yeah, I enjoyed Christine. Like I said, I accumulated 1 or 2 hardcovers and then a bunch of paperback. I got into King's writing. One of the things with King's writing is obviously you can't. People said you couldn't adapt it. The books themselves are very big books, and this movie's 103 minutes, which means 103 screenplay pages, 1 minute per page. So you have to take a 300, 400, 500 page book and adapt it down to 103 pages. So, you lose stuff. With something like The Stand, where it's like a big book, you pretty much can't make it into a 2-hour thing. But other films like Needful Things and Doctor Sleep, they will take those movies and make almost like 2 versions. This had an extra, a different version. But the longer extended version for the people who are the real King heads, the Needful Things is like the most famous one. It's like you got the 2-hour one or like the 4-hour one. Jason Entertainment. Hey man, how's it going? Welcome, Jason. Nice to have you here. Don was young. I know, right? It seems like forever ago. Woo! Welcome, Hobbs Horror. I was up with Josh last night late. My friend Lemonia Demonia was Lemonia Demonia. She had one of her streams where she watched Jaws, but then after Jaws was over, they went for another 3-4 hours. So they were up till the sun come up. So I was hanging out with Hobbs and Lay and Wes, the Ice Lord. But it's nice to see you here, Josh. So here the dude goes outside and he sees the cat is in the tree, and this is Church the cat. The other night on In the House, hosted by me and my man, the Horror Cat Dad, the current king of horror, for the horror YouTuber of the month, I should say. But we were discussing the scariest cats in horror movie history. My man Eric, Two Boys and Their Scary Pops, brought the question up. And we went through all the scary cats we could think of in horror movies, and Gage was like one of my first ones I thought of. That's a scary cat. Hey, Jason. Hi, Hobbs. Which is why I was brokenhearted for the Dark Tower movie. Dark Tower, that's what it was. It condensed a few thousand pages into 90 minutes. Yeah, that's... Dark Tower, I think for a long time, they wanted to make it like a mini series or a series of films. I think maybe even a trilogy at one point. But that's the eternal struggle with King. They're hit and miss. There's like a 30% success rate, 25% success rate, for every, The Shining or Pet Sematary or Shawshank Redemption or The Mist or something. There's a Cell or Golden Years. Golden Years is all right. Langoliers. I enjoy Langoliers. It's like a Twilight Zone episode, but the problem is that the special effects are terrible. Langoliers might be one of those things that's better to watch in black and white, I think. We often have the discussion on here of movies that would work just as good, if not better, in black and white, and I think that one would probably be a good one. So here the star of the movie goes over, the doctor. He goes over and has a beer with a neighbor on the porch, and him and Fred Gwynne get to be buddy up. The main guy in this movie is played by Dale Midkiff as Dr. Lewis Creed. What the heck else has Dale Midkiff done? I don't know you in anything, do I, Dale? It seems he's best known for Pet Sematary, Crow Salvation, Love Comes Softly, and Time Tracks. Yeah. The selected filmography of Dale Midkiff. Boy, I don't know if there's going to be anything here. Boy, his first movie was in 85, Streetwalkin'. Elvis and Me. He was in Casual Sex as Attractive Stranger. So there you go. Dream Street, Sins of Mother, Plymouth. Boy, yeah, Dale Midkiff, not so much. So this is pretty much, he's a one and done. Everything else that's interesting is like The Outer Limits, and he was in Air Bud World Pup. There you go. Never mind. I've been slapped in the face of reality. He's a great actor. He was in Maximum Velocity. Yeah, none of these movies. He was in Flight of the Living Dead. I saw that as Dr. Lucas, but that's a really bad B movie. I mean, it's all right. I like the idea of zombies on a plane. But other than that, man, my man is struggling. He was in an episode of Dexter, and that's it. I'm sorry, Dale Midkiff. I think you're doing fine work, and hopefully it'll turn around for you. Wait a minute, is Dale Midkiff dead? I sure hope not. Is Dale Midkiff? No, he's alive. Good. So here, this movie also has the mom. She's more famous than him, I would say. He's good. I mean, he's very generic, handsome. I don't know if he can carry a movie, but the mom is Denise Crosby, and most people know her as Tasha Yar from Star Trek: Next Generation. So Fred Gwynne has taken them up to the pet cemetery already. We're only let's see, we're at the 12 minute and 17, 18, 19 mark. So we're barely just past 10 minutes in, and we've already gotten a good look at the pet cemetery, and we're getting the exposition of what it's all about. When Romero couldn't direct this, it was by Mary Lambert. She also did the sequel. This one, in my opinion, it's incredibly competently directed. Like, that's one of the keys to it, the tone of it and the weird things. Like, if you said, hey, there's going to be like Zelda, the sister of Denise Crosby, that whole thing sounds weird, but it's one of the most scary scenes in movie history. It's like damn near a mini Evil Dead movie. But yeah, the things like with the hitchhiker. At one point, the doctor encounters the ghost of a jogger who was killed along the side of the road by one of those trucks, and the ghost sort of taunts him and hangs out with him and bothers him. And that's such a weird character to have in the movie. Like, your main guy is being haunted by spooky ghosts. Jamie Hart is here. What am I doing? There we go. Yeah. Nice to have you here, Jamie. Jamie always turns up in the streams that I'm in. Whenever I'm watching, I see her pop up. I believe you were watching Head earlier too, right? Hello, Jamie May and Echo Max. And also earlier today, I watched JT's Horror Discussions and my friend Pugwall316, Matt. They watched Terror Vision. So be sure to check out Pugwall or JT's channel for a stream of that. I was hanging out and enjoying their thoughts on it. Hey, Hobbs, everybody's saying hi. Zelda is terrifying, right? We'll talk about it when we get to Zelda, but I have a lot of thoughts on her. I don't know. That's a complex character. Well, hello, Clarice. So yeah, there's Denise Crosby. She was originally, like I say, on Star Trek: Next Generation, and she was a very beloved character. People dug her on there. Why won't you open up? There we go. Let's see what else Denise Crosby has been in. She has 104 acting credits. She's best known for Pet Sematary, Dolly Dearest, Deep Impact, and Miracle Mile. So her career was mildly. Let's see here. Her first film was, oh goodness, I bet what, mid 80s? Let's see. She was 1979. She was a party guest in 10, uncredited. Days of Our Lives, Trail of the Pink Panther. She was in 48 Hours. I didn't know that. She plays Sally. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. She was in Curse of the Pink Panther, The Man Who Loved Women, Eliminators, Miracle Mile, Greasy Lake, Pet Sematary. That's her biggie. Where is Star Trek The Next Generation on here? Oh, 87. She went on there, and then she left in 94. Well, 87 through 94. But I believe they killed her off on that show so she could do Pet Sematary. I believe that was the story as it went. She was also in Max, Dream Man, Baywatch. She was in Jackie Brown as the public defender. Interesting. She was uncredited. Deep Impact, Spy Game, Snoops, The X-Files. Lots of TV lately. Dexter. Everybody does Dexter. Prison Break, Family Guy. The Walking Dead. She had an episode of. 3 episodes. Nice. NCIS. Creepshow, the TV series. The new one that's on Shudder and AMC. She had a segment called Within the Walls of Madness. Sounds like my kind of thing. But that is the select filmography of Denise Crosby. We see the doctor is now meeting one of the crazy ladies, and we see the main license plates, and she's got that bellyache. Yeah, Dale Midkiff, I don't know about him. I think it was inspired casting because he's like a relative unknown, and he carries the movie all right. It's just I don't think I've ever thought about him in anything else but this. Clearly not. He hasn't really been in much else but this. So yeah, apparently these people lived in Chicago and they yearned for the country life. And the movie kind of is interesting because the people go back and forth. Like at one point, she goes back, I think, for Thanksgiving, and then later on, after the funeral of one of the kids, they have a whole thing with her leaving and coming back. But they also remade this in like 2019 or something, I believe. And John Lithgow plays the Fred Gwynne character, and I don't know. Let's look up Pet Sematary 2019. I personally didn't hate it, but I know it's pretty darn unliked. Where is it? He plays Victor Pascal. And yeah, the doctor tries to save him, and you can see his like brains are out. He's the guy that's on the cover of the thumbnail for this video. Him and Zelda were both probably, and Gage with Church with the yellow eyes, and then Gage in that little weird like, I don't know, top hat, and he looks like a little miniature circus ringmaster kind of guy. All of that's just crazy insane. But there's so many memorable images from this, and this dude with this busted open head and his brain hanging out is obviously one of them. Pet Sematary 2019 was a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.7 on IMDb. So that's kind of bad. Usually the average film on IMDb gets about a 6. If you dip below a 6, you're starting to get towards the bad end. Very few things ever get up to a 10. But 57% and 57% on Metacritic, 67% on Google. So in general, it wasn't relatively well received. That one's currently playing on Pluto. But let's see, who were the replacement actors? Jason Clarke was the replacement for Dale Midkiff. And then Amy Seimetz plays the Tasha Yar character. And John Lithgow plays the Fred Gwynne. They do a story swap, though. the other child dies in that one, and it's a weird twist because you think you know what's going to happen if you've seen this one. So they kind of throw a little reversal at you. In general, it's not well received. Most of the King's struggle, and especially the King reboots. I still haven't seen Children of the Corn. I've heard nothing but bad things. The newest one. Let's see here. Our friend Sarah is here. Nice to see you, Sarah. Sarah gets to make it every now and then. I need to do more weekend streams so she's available to be up, but she's usually not awake this time of night, so I'm glad when Sarah's here. It's good to have you. And Bones makes fun of me reading off whenever I go through filmographies. A few hours later. She was killed off on TNG and then came back playing her evil daughter. Yeah, I remember that. Was it like a Romulan or something? She had like a different look to her. And Silent Hill 2, Dale Midkiff and Denise Crosby found on some documents you find in the Brookhaven Hospital. That game has a lot of Stephen King references. Oh, wow, interesting. That's a cool bit of trivia. Folks are saying hi to Jamie. Hobbs says share out the feed and hit that thumbs up, folks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. That's nice of you supporting me and being here. I realize at this time of night, you usually don't have any other option than me, but tonight my buddy JT is doing a premiere of his podcast about Amityville 2. So I think those of you who are nice enough to stop in and hang out with me for a bit while there's other action going on. A few more hours later. Oh, Bones. Pascal Daddy, Pascal. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Folks are saying hi, Sarah. Nice. So there's a good jump scare. The doctor's laying in bed and he's being haunted by the Victor or whatever. Throughout the rest of the movie, he'll taunt him. He's basically like the Griffin Dunn character in American Werewolf in London. He works to give story exposition to our hero and explain what's going on, but then the audience can overhear the two of them talking, as in a lot of times, in books, you just go through the internal dialogue of someone's mind, but you can't do that on film. So here he gets a chance to talk to somebody and we understand that the Pet Sematary's bad. My head is full of wool true shit. Sometimes it has to spill out. You can say shit. It's okay. But if swearing offends you, feel free to insert spork at any point. But I don't think it's trivial. That was an interesting one. I never played Silent Hill 2. I played Silent Hill 1 and I loved it. And then when I watched that Silent Hill first movie, I kind of dug it. And then the second movie, and that's what I thought you were talking about when you said Silent Hill 2. I was like, the second one with Kit Harington? Yeah, I didn't dig that one. So here he's explaining to the doctor that this is to the place where the dead walk. And it's kind of a cool idea that it works as like a reanimation thing, And the film itself it touches on loss, By the way, happy Father's Day to those of you who are fathers or mothers who have to play the roles of fathers, or those of you who are fathers of pets. Shout out to all of you. Usually I watch Stepfather as my main go-to Father's Day movie, but I kind of felt like this one would be a good one because the whole thing's about the dad and his feelings about his wife and his feelings about his kids and, what the trauma and sadness that goes with losing a kid and how you would do anything to get it back and, even basically make a deal with the devil. You agree to put your kid in this pet cemetery and it comes back as a monster. A remake of Silent Hill 2 is coming out on October 6th. It was my favorite game of all time, so they better not mess it up. I pre-ordered it. What systems is that on, or do you play that on the PC? So there the dude wakes up in bed and he realizes it was all a dream, but was it? Because his feet are dirty. Dun, dun, dun. That's kind of a fun reveal. Like he wakes up like, oh, it's just a nightmare. There's the dumb waiter, or the laundry chute. Later on, that plays a role with the dumb waiter. The doctor just calls the nurse. He says, "Thank you, nurse." So here we see there's a pumpkin on the window, a paper pumpkin, and the kid takes it down and puts up a turkey, the handmade, draw the hand outline of your hand and make a turkey deal. So you can see that the seasons are changing. Like they arrived here in the late fall around Halloween time, and now it's Thanksgiving. And we see some of the bags packed because they're going to go off back home. The mom and the daughter, I believe, go back home. And that's when Gage ends up not being in the movie anymore until he's back in the movie. Oh, man, you just spoiled it for me. I'm sorry. PlayStation 5. Ooh, look at you, balling. I tapped out on video games around PlayStation 3. Movies in real life overtook my time, and I had to cut something out, and sadly it was gaming. But I've been thinking about maybe picking it up again. I have people who are close to me who play games, and I'd be interested in maybe hanging out with them. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Heavy D and Salt and Pepper in the limousine. Okay, just JK. I know, I'm just playing. After I started saying that and realized it was like, there's probably some people out there who would like to watch the new Pet Sematary. Well, I'm glad I've ruined it for you. There's no reason to. No, the best thing about the new one is I would probably say the John Lithgow character. I think Lithgow does a good job in that. Because it's really hard to replace Fred Gwynne in this. He almost steals the movie. Zelda steals the movie. So here we find Church's dead body in Judd's yard. And this is where he explains to him, like, I don't want Ellie to be sad when, she finds out her cat's dead. So let's bury it in that pet cemetery and see if it comes back. That's kind of an awesome, gross scene. The cat's deceased and is laying in the yard, but it's winter time, or whatever, late fall, early winter. There's leaves on the ground, so it's crisp, and the cat is frozen to the ground, so they have to peel it up off the grass. This movie does a good job with the inserting horror in unusual places. You can stream gameplay directly to your YouTube channel. It's worth it. Nice. Bloodlines was better than the remake, in my opinion. Oh, the new one. The Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Was that the sequel to it? Or I haven't seen Bloodlines. The first one the reboot, whatever, turned me off so bad I didn't invest time in Bloodlines. A lot of the reboots lately have been struggling. The Exorcist reboot, the Omen reboot, I've heard nothing but good things about, so I want to check that one out. But the Halloween reboot started off really strong and fizzled out by the end. People were like, I'm mad that they made this. So did watch and liked Bloodlines. Nice. Or is that supposed to be did I watch and like Bloodlines? Yeah, Bloodlines I would be interested in checking out. Let's see what it's doing on Rotten Tomatoes and not Pet Sematary. 2023, so it was just out last year, huh? All right. It's currently on Prime. I may give that a watch. Oh, wow. So it's about Judd and his early childhood friends. Interesting. So it's a prequel, basically. All right. Nice. Set in 1969, 50 years before the events of the previous film. You've intrigued me. It is, however, getting killed in the 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.6 on IMDb, 31% on Metacritic. Let's see how it did at the box office. I think it did mediocre or bad. They don't even list the box office and production notes on here, so yeah, they're trying to keep that hidden. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys have seen Pet Sematary Bloodlines and if I should check it out. Echo says yes. Mayanne says yes. Mr. Bone says, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to give my life again. Probably live again is what it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's another one of the things about this movie that people remember. Thank you for reminding me, Bones. Good job. Got my back, homie. I like that. They had a Ramones song called Pet Sematary, and they made a video for it, and they released the video on MTV, and it was like a big premiere. And the lyrics are as such, as you can read there. I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. But that's one of the things that go handcuffed to this is the Ramones song. With peace and love, Pet Sematary Bloodlines might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate your honest opinion. That's well needed around here. So there, it's a split audience. We've got a couple that like and one dislike, and apparently the mass audience at large isn't feeling it. But I feel like if you're a fan of this one, it might be more interesting. If you're probably a newer viewer and you hadn't seen this or part two of this stars Edward Furlong. Was also, I believe, directed by Mary Lambert. A sequel, Pet Sematary 2, was released in 92. Okay, so it was 3 years later, and a second film adaptation was in 2019. All right. This film was made for $11.5 million, and it made $57.5 million at the box office. So that's more than, obviously, well past more than double. So clearly it was a success at the box office, which is why Pet Sematary 2 must have got made, because it did well. Let's see. Pet Sematary 2 was made for $8 million and made 17.1. So it just eked past making a budget or making its money back. The rule we talked about before supposedly is whatever amount of money you throw at making a film, you have to take that same amount and put it into advertising. So if the budget is 20 million, then your film was actually 40 million. Or if your film was 120 million, it was actually 240 million. So if this one made 1 million past double, or Pet Sematary 2 made 1 million past double, and that's why they probably never made a Pet Sematary 3. You could consider it a sequel to the OG or remake, but I like to think it's the OG curse. The OG caused the remake was kind of poop. Okay, original. Gotcha. Yeah, I consider it a prequel to this one. Sequel. Now you guys have my head spun. I love part 2. Yeah, part 2 is a fun time. That's one that seems like it would be, a sequel to a Stephen King novel, but, adapted and written specifically for the screen. Part 2 is my preferred of the films. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Bones said poop. Nice. You get sporked for that, Bones. Oh, sorry. You don't know where my spork's been. Here's one that's got a protection on it. There you go. Hello, Thomas McCluskey. Nice to see you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I believe this may be the first time you've joined us. You seem like a new folks around here. So welcome, Thomas. Glad to have you here. Man, right away welcomes Thomas. Nice to see you. Yeah, part 2 is written by Richard Otten and directed by Mary Lambert as well. That's a few years after the event of the first one. And Edward Furlong and his father moved to Ludlow, Maine, the same place. And then the Micmac, that's what it is, the name of the Indians, or Native Americans, sorry. But in general, I think this one I enjoy the most. Yeah, I enjoy this one by far the most. Because Gage, because of Church, because of Fred Gwynne's performance. Part 2 is really good. Edward Furlong, Edward Furlong's hit and miss like Stephen King. So I find that that's one of the good Edward Furlong films. Brain Scan, T2, obviously. What's your favorite Edward Furlong film, guys? I Will Never Grow Up and Poop is Always Funny, right? You're a Toys R Us kid. Totally. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. So here we cut back to the mom visiting the family for Thanksgiving, and they call the dad, the traditional, like, hey, how's it going? Is everything going okay? And the cat died. And he doesn't want to say anything because he knows the cat's going to come back. Well, he hopes the cat comes back to life. Gage is creepy even when he's not zombie Gage. I don't know. I find him uncomfortable. My favorite line in part 2. Well, I was building a doggy door. I never realized the fall setting of this movie is really important for some reason. Like, it gives it a nice vibe to it. I dig fall, obviously, but it's weird that it starts around Halloween and goes through, but we don't make it to Christmas. It seems like if you would go that route, this movie would have its climax with Christmas trees and stuff. Oh, and there's Reanimated Church. You scary sumbitch. Church is on the cover of the novel when I was a kid, so it's the glowing-eyed cat is still traumatizing to me to this day. So they captured that cover in a perfect scene there when he goes down in the cellar and Gage is like, or Church. I always want to flip-flop him because Gage is a weird name for a baby. I'll say it. It's the size of an earring. It's not a baby's name. Favorite Edward Furlong film, American History X or Before and After. I've never seen Before and After. American History X is he's good in that. I think of it more as an Edward Norton film, but yeah, he is obviously in it good. He had after T2, he blew up. He had a nice career for a few years there. I think being a Hollywood person kind of got to him. And then after a while, he just didn't give a F anymore. He didn't give a spork. I love IX, but the ending is so sad as fuck. American History X and T2. Yeah, that's what I would figure are his biggies. You guys ever seen Brain Scan? That's a good one. It's sad, but I love the message. Before and After, I'm assuming, or American History X, because we all know Gages are born at 35, right? I don't know any Gages. The only Gage I know is a shotgun or an earring. Had my dogs buried at a pet cemetery. Really? Oh, a real one. No, not this one. You had me scared there for a second, Thomas. Yeah, there's a pet cemetery. There's an old school, like 1800s cemetery down the street from here. And then behind it, there's a pet cemetery. And it always kind of trips me out. It's like, I think I've read this book before. It stars both Edwards, Don. It's about a little bro trying to be like the big bro. Yeah, I know. It doesn't star both. I would say the co-stars, his buddy, the black dude he meets in prison that teaches him how to like get along with people of all races and everything. And isn't the heavy set dude from Mallrats in it? The guy that can't see a sailboat in the picture? You dumb bastard. It's a sailboat. Before and After has Meryl Streep and Liam Neeson. Furlong does something wrong and his parents try to cover it up. Great film. That sounds interesting. I'll have to check that one out, I think. So here we get a flashback scene. Judd is explaining about the cat, Judd's cat being buried. So I guess the Bloodlines is basically just this little section that we're seeing here, except stretched out into a full movie, because here's young Judd and everything. And we see his dog came back. A man doesn't always know why he does things, Lewis. I think I did it because your daughter ain't ready for her favorite pet to die. Which is, I mean, once again, father stuff or parenting stuff, they're protecting your kids of life and death. And, I'm not ready for them to grow up that fast. So, you're trying to conceal the pet dying to the kid. Most people go with the pet went to live on a farm. I remember one day I got home from school and my dad told me, your dog, we ended up having to send him away to a farm. A nice family that had all sorts of room for the dog to run and everything. And I was like, really? I was like, huh. I thought that was interesting because like 2 years earlier, I had a pet hamster that escaped. So it's like, these pets just keep disappearing. I remember when I was like in my 20s, my dad was like, did Shadow really go live on a farm? He was like, yeah. I'm pretty sure he was still keeping the lie alive, but God bless him for it. I know it wasn't well received, but I thought Dark Fate was a fun watch. I don't know if I know Dark Fate. Maybe I do. Let's look it up. Oh, Terminator 19. Got you. See, there's so many damn movies and I can't keep track of titles. I'm like, what's that? Like some sort of 1989 direct-to-video movie? Yeah, it wasn't well received. I agree. I never saw Dark Fate. I think I tapped out after what's the one that's a ripoff of Mad Max? Salvation. And I think I saw Genesis, actually, but I never saw Dark Fate. There, the dude's laying in the bathtub and Gage, I do it every time. The church throws a rat in the tub with them. So it's a nice jump scare. But once again, it gives you a nice like horror beat every 5 minutes, so you never really get comfortable because something scary or creepy is constantly happening. Let's see here. Kayla Citron. Hola, welcome, Kayla. Nice to have you here again. Kayla was with us the other night when we were watching Demolition Man. It's glad to see you here. I'm glad to have you here. But you be the Judd. Got him. D's nuts. Hello, Jimmy Hart. Oh, Professor Macabro is here. Where did I miss greetings and salutations? There it is. I should have known. Thomas Closey says, I'm going to join you people again. I appreciate that, Thomas. You should, man. It's nice having you here. I enjoy anybody who's cool. That's the rule. If you're cool, you can hang out, and most likely you'll be part of the crew pretty quick. So feel free to hang out, Thomas. It's a schooner. A schooner is a sailboat, stupid. Watch Bloodlines. I really liked it. All right, Mayan is getting money from Big Bloodlines. I'll have to check it out. Hello, Queen Mayan. So nice to have you here, Professor. Professor was my company while we were hanging out watching the wee hours of the morning stream last night on Lamonia's Lair. Folks are saying hi to each other. Jamie Hart says, I need grapes. That is all. Mayan says hi, Kayla. Kayla says hi, Mayan. Nice to see you guys. Yes, two of my favorite ladies being friends. I like that. Fred Dog gets killed off at the beginning, though. What are you ruining? Well, what the beginning of what? The girls are good looking on this channel. These ladies? Yeah, I agree. I'm lucky enough to know a lot of pretty women. Fudge Sundays, now grapes? Oh, but Don, I ain't cool and I'm here. Oh, I disagree, Professor Macabro. You're one of my... Professor, not many people, I think I've said this before, he's one of the first YouTubers that I really dug. Like I stumbled onto his channel through my buddy Rob's Vintage Video. And him and Echo kind of come as a tag team pair. If you buy one, you get the other one as a set. So I met Echo and Professor through Rob. And those guys have been my road dogs since. So Professor, you are cool as hell to me, my friend. And Karen is here, Spirits and Screams. Hey kids, this is a great choice, Don. Love this one. Watched it so many times. Yeah, I that's a good point. Oh, hold on. Stephen King's Cameo. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Sometimes King turns up in his own movies. This one, I think, is one of his best ones. He turns up as the preacher delivering the sermon. Amen. All amen. Nice. So the family's all broken up. Just a touch of the flu. She's been in bed throwing up. I kind of wondered, is the wife pregnant? Did they say that at some point? I don't know. I pity the fool who tries to get between me and my grapes. What kind of grapes are they? You got green grapes? You got the kind with the seeds? I don't know. Saying, Professor, we should see ourselves out. Oh, I disagree. Mr. Bones is another one of my road dogs. Every Tuesday night for the past, 6-7 weeks, I've been on Mr. Bones' channel, and me and him watch some horrible, gruesome movie that he loves. And he's turned me on to a bunch of good ones I wouldn't have checked out. So Bones is the man. Hey, Karen. Hey, Karen. Everybody's saying hi to Karen. People love Spirits and Screams. Yeah, Karen is super cool. She always knows the good stuff. Whenever I'm watching something good, Karen turns up. So does the Pet Cemetery bring things back as zombies or deadites? It's a fine question. I would assume since they're not, since there's no Book of the Dead, it would have to be zombies, but I don't know. They don't really crave flesh. Like they're not trying to eat you and get your brains or nothing. They're just sort of evil and murderous. What does that fall into? Zombie light, maybe? I don't know. Sir Professor. King had a cameo as a cleaner in Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, I actually, that's the reason I started watching Sons of Anarchy, because I had heard Stephen King was in it, and that was kind of a seal of approval to me. Here, the father is explaining to the daughter about the loss of Gage and how hard it is, and once again having to explain death to little kids. It's really complicated, and that's one of the reasons I like this movie. The horror stuff is horror, but the family stuff feels like family stuff. the husband and the wife having issues after the son dies. That would happen in real life. The not wanting to expose your kid to its dead pet. That would happen in real life. Not being able to let go of somebody who's passed away. I think we've all felt that. So it touches on a lot of, things about life. But then it's also a zombie movie about scary pets. Jamie, how you doing? Nice to see that. Xavier, Cintron, nice to see you. My brother-in-law, welcome. Never seen this movie, Pet Sematary. It's a creepy one. The little kid in it's terrifying, but more than anything, the wife in this, her sister, is scary. And that's more complicated stuff. They're explaining her right now, actually. Good timing. She explains how her sister Zelda had spinal meningitis, I think it is, something like that. And she lived in the back room, and she's like this sickly zombie lady, and she's just skinny and pale, and you can see like the bumps in her spine. She looks more in pain than any Deadite I've ever seen. And as soon as you see her, it's so much different, because a zombie is a monster. This is your sister. And there are things in life where it's like, I'm afraid to talk to grandma or whatever. But here it's like, this little girl is scared of her sister. And in one way, she loves her and she feeds her. But at the other hand, she kind of resents having to take care of her. So this is heavy emotional drama stuff. And even when she gives this little soliloquy here, she's crying. But Zelda's just so damn scary. Like her cheekbones, and she's scarier than any Romero zombie, in my opinion. You always choose good stuff, Don. Super fun late night lives. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Karen. For those of you not familiar with my friend Spirits and Screams, she's also heavily tapped into the movie world, so be sure to give her channel a check out. She always is talking about good stuff over there, and has many of the folks that are friendly with us here in the chat, part of our community, have been on her channel. Never punted it, but they seem more like Deadites than zombies. They do. Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like they come back as weird monsters, but they don't. I don't know. They're not flesh eaters. They're just sort of evil mischief people. They're possessed by the spirit of whatever evil, I guess. I don't know. They come back from a dark place. And then she talks about how when the sister dies, and she felt some sort of relief. And, that's a heavy duty thing. Like, my sister died, and it actually made me happy. Like, it's part of the emotional drama of this movie. Not Gage Church. Damn it, I did it again, didn't I? See what I mean? I'm telling you, Gage is Church is not a cat's name. Gage is. I'm going to call the little boy Church to make up for it. Spirits doing pretty good, slowly getting better, I think, but I won't know for sure. I'll take my next blood test in a couple of weeks. How are you? I've missed you. Well, Jamie gets a giant hand heart. Jamie's been bouncing back from recovering from a lot going on in her life. We're glad she's okay, though. I personally love the episode of Quantum Leap where the Bacula travels to King's Past. I never saw that one. Interesting. Man says, hello, Xavier. Yes, welcome, Xavier. It's glad to have you here. Be well and hope it all works out, Jamie Hart. I miss you too. What's wrong with Legend of Zelda? Tells you what. There's a meme sometimes you see of the old Legend of Zelda gold cartridge that they've replaced the label with a picture of, So here's where the trucker, and we see that they're out flying a kite, literally as happy as you can be. And the little kids cheering him on. Go, Daddy. Go, Daddy. I'm going to have to watch it. It sounds good. Yeah, it's a trip. It's written by Stephen King. It's adapted from a Stephen King novel, I should say. So it's got that Stephen King lineage to it. I got 6% power on my phone. If my town gets power, be a C. Yeah, I sure hope you're not staying in the dark all night, Echo. It sounds like it's scary over there. Our friend Echo has some fires going on around him, and his electricity's out. So the fact that he's here with us is kind of comforting. So Gage is flying the kite, and the mom is sitting with they're having a picnic. It's supposed to be like a happy, sweet occasion, and everyone's just so, family life and love, and everyone's got big smiles, and it's about to turn nasty quick. Throws her down a dumbwaiter in the remake. Yeah, that's what I remembered. I was trying to think, is there a dumbwaiter in this one? Because I saw the remake so recently. There's the part where the little girl, Gage drops the kite, and the little girl calls him a dumb shit. Although the captioning here called him a numb shit. So, zombies or deadites? I'm thinking Wendigo or D-Spirit. Ooh, nice. Yeah, I think that's kind of sort of the hidden message of this movie, that we obviously lose people in our lives and we wish they would come back, but we can't get them back, and any attempt to try to get them back isn't going to work right. So we get this, I don't know, is it, I would say maybe Reanimator might be closest to this. Oh, there it is, the truck that runs over the kid, and it's brutal. We see the shoe just sitting in the street, all bloody. Not a lot of movies have the guts to kill a toddler. Oh, he got the slow-mo heaven, like screaming to the heavens shot. Nice. And I remember this the first time I saw it, it touched me. He has the flashbacks of like all the moments that he thinks of with his son, because that's, what would come pouring back immediately. Zombies are deadites. I'm going to go spirit. Tasha Yar could not catch a break, taking care of her creepy sister, then killed by an alien tar monster. Yeah, that when she dies on Star Trek, I'd only been watching Star Trek The Next Generation for, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes or something, because, back when they used to have syndicated TV, the episodes usually weren't in order. They were all jumbled and stuff. So, yeah, about the time Tasha got killed by that tar monster, I was like, this show's wild. Anything can happen. Yeah, it's a shame Denise Crosby didn't have much more of a career. I'm wondering if leaving Star Trek to try to be in movies, I don't know. It's happened a bunch of times. People who are big television stars try to make the jump to movies, and they just don't get it, and their career fails. Nowadays, it's the other way around. Big stars go on to do TV series or Netflix or HBO series or whatever. Got 6% of my power left. I'm going to tell people in the San Francisco Bay about your show. Well, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it, buddy. Anybody shouting us out is good. Anybody saying anything nice about me, I will take. That's terrible, Echo. Any news about when it's coming back? Yeah, right now we're hoping Echo stays safe. Gage's dad is a gynecologist? Wrong movie, I know. Yeah, I don't think he is. Oh man, this scene is coming. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the truck scene, and that happens at exactly the midway point. We talked about this before with story structure. The movie itself will play out in 3 acts. The first act is short. The middle story is the body of the story. The second act, and then the end, the third act, beginning, middle, end. And then around the middle, something will happen that changes the story and turns it on its head. And that's a plot twist, as it's known. Most people think a plot twist is like what M. Night Shyamalan does. It's like, no, that's more of a surprise ending. A plot twist happens in virtually every movie. At some point around the exact midway mark, something will, make the story go in a new direction to keep it fresh so you don't get bored. And in this one, exactly the 50-minute mark is when Gage dies. In this part, I remember this the first time I saw it because it felt so super real too. The mother's father, or the main guy's father-in-law, like, how come you weren't watching him? It's your fault he's dead. And then the two of them get into a fight at the funeral and the casket gets knocked over. Like, it's kind of a bit heavy and overdone, but at the same time, there's so many feelings attached to a toddler passing away. Of course, there's going to be stuff like this going on. Who's this guy? Suddenly, the doctor has a friend who talks sense to him. Like, we've never seen this guy the entire movie. And he's like, hey, it's your son's funeral. Don't do this. Well, who are you, you Super Mario looking? How the hell did a damn toddler outrun a damn full-grown ass adult? Oh, I know you've got a couple gremlins. You've had that before. Sometimes they go. There you go. Kayla's pointing out. Trust me, it happens, Macabro. Yeah, Kayla today took her kids roller skating, and she said time to go, and one of them took off running or took off skating. It's like, you try chasing a small one on wheels. Toddlers can be creepy that way, Professor. Yeah, that's the thing about kids in general. It's easy to think that they're like adults, like, oh, they have common sense. It's like, no, there's no telling what they're going to do. Hashtag Achilles tendon. Yes, this is another movie where the Achilles tendon is got a classic scene. This and Evil Dead make the back of my ankle hurt just thinking about it. Ugh, I hate this movie, right? It's so good because it's got so much scary, like uncomfortable beats, but it's also, it feels like I have sympathy for all these people. Like I understand all their the neighbor, the dad, the mom, even the father-in-law who punched out the dad at the funeral. I could be that way. How come you weren't watching my grandkid, you dummy? So now the dad comes in and the wife is sleeping, and there's a church, not Gage, on her chest. Yeah, I'm gonna insist on calling the cat the wrong name the entire movie. Weird glowing-eyed rascal. We'd play in the dumbwaiter at my grandma's house as a kid. Oh my, that's terrifying. They seem so much fun. Like I was in a hotel once that had like a big dumbwaiter, I'm assuming for laundry or whatever. And I remember as a kid thinking, like, I wonder if I could use that as an elevator. That'd be cool. Because kids have bad reasoning. Do you guys think they'll go there with the kids in Terrifier 3? That's kind of the only place to go, right? For those of you who haven't heard, there will be a third Terrifier movie, and it's supposed to be a Christmas movie. So one would think that there's going to be some scary stuff involving kids. And Art, well, those movies like to push the boundaries so hard. I could see Art going to a friggin' pediatric ward at a hospital and killing everybody. Xavier says, have you ever read Haunting Adeline? I haven't. Is that a newer book or an older one or whatever? Interesting. Haunting Adeline. Let's find out what's going on with that. A woman is pursued by a man who is unaffected by her emotional manipulation. Jesus. When she finds herself inexplicably drawn to him despite her attempts to resist. Why was Haunting Adeline banned? The biggest issue with the book is that the story glorifies sexual assault. Okay. In fact, the whole romance boils down to Zaid stalking Adeline and forcing her into such and such coercion and violence. The lack of consent is absolutely appalling. So interesting. It was a banned book. Sounds kind of fucked up. Let's see here. I hope my kids don't inherit my common sense because they would be in for some trouble. Yeah, Professor got the gremlins. Thanks. I'll join you again. Bye. Well, we appreciate you being here, Thomas. It was nice to have you. Lots of new faces in here. We got Xavier hanging out. We got Kayla here. Haunting Airline is an awesome book. So yeah, it sounds to me like it's banned. I might have trouble finding one. Here's where another flashback scene, and they explain how somebody else has tried the idea of burying a human in the pet cemetery. And they explain, and Judd explains, it doesn't work. Don't do it. And there's the line. Well, sometimes dead is better. And I think that's, what's worse than losing someone? Having them back as a monster. Well, the guy that's reanimated, he's eating something. Was that an animal? All we saw was a quick shot of a leg. Scary. I got the physical copies, but the first and the second you can borrow them. I might be taking you up on that. I might have to, might need to borrow that book from you sometime we're hanging out. Lots of folks saw Timmy walking back and forth. Yeah, so basically what happened is back in the several years before this movie, a kid had passed away and they tried burying him in the pet cemetery to bring him back to life. And the neighbors all saw this zombie man walking around, and they eventually trap him in the house and they burn the house to the ground, like a kind of a mob justice sort of thing. And it's an important plot point because that's where this movie ends up leading towards. But Timmy in this is a real Bud the Chud. He's a zombie. Ed and his dead mother or whatever. This is all Judd's fault. If he hadn't said nothing, the dude would have gotten the idea in his head. This is Judd's fault. You're right. Well, he's even the one that showed him the pet cemetery. Like, he's like, hey, come look at this thing behind your house. I mean, I'm sure the kids would have stumbled onto it at some point, but I don't know. Judd's a problem. I don't care how nice he is. First I prayed with Uncle Judd, and then I want to pray with you. I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. Yeah, the Pet Cemetery soundtrack, the video for it that was on MTV and stuff. I'm sure that must be on YouTube. You can Google Pet Cemetery, the song by the Ramones, and the video is lots of clips of the movie. And was that for 1 or 2? Now that I think about it. Yeah, for the first one. Okay. It felt like it fit more with the second one after I thought about it, but no, it's from the first one. Under the arc of weather-stained boards, ancient goblins and warlords come out of the ground, not making a sound. The smell of death is all around. And the night when the cold wind blows, no one cares, nobody knows. I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I don't want to live my life again. Follow Victor to the sacred place. This ain't a dream I can't escape. Molars and fangs, the clicking of bones, spirits moaning among the tombstones. So they're working the plot into it. Interesting. The moon is full, the air is still. All of a sudden, I feel chill. Victor is grinning, flesh is rotting away. Skeletons dance, I curse this day. And then it's just the chorus over and over again. Interesting. I don't think I ever knew the words, which is weird because the Ramones aren't really that hard to understand. There's a Timmy-type character in Bloodlines. Interesting. Well, yeah, that's what I would assume, that the original story has to have that kind of plot to it. Grapes are good. You should read the scene Kayla, the water gun scene Kayla said. Liar. You two are up to, you guys are sharing info about a book I don't know. I'm being tricked, I think. Plop. Grapes are good, Jamie. Yeah, I do like some grapes. Which is weird. I don't know if I've ever had purple grapes. Like, everything grape is purple, and if you get something grape flavored, it comes in that. And then whenever I go to like a restaurant and they have some grapes on the wall, they're always purple. But I think every grape I've ever had has been green. I'm leading a sheltered life here. So the wife and daughter, I believe, go off to stay with the parents for a while because, they split up for a little bit because they're going through some things after their kid died. I think part of the weirdness is he has to exhume the body. So the dude breaks into the graveyard and has to steal his son back like a grave robber. Gage Creed. Grapes are good, especially when they get turned into wine. I knew Professor would come out in favor of wine. 100, damn straight. Greetings and libations. Yeah, this dude, he's doing an all right job. For an actor that doesn't really get much work after this, he did an all right job. It seems like this would have got him other stuff. But here, when he's digging up the body, the Victor, the hitchhiker, or whatever, I always want to call him a hitchhiker, the jogger that was hit by a truck, who's basically a avatar for Stephen King, works as a ghost and is just telling dude, like, you can't bury the kid in the pet cemetery. It's not going to work. It's not going to be good. Don't do it. Concord grapes are the best. A lot of those are grown here, but I'm eating green ones. Yeah, like whenever I eat jelly, grape jelly, Concord grape jelly, that's grape, but all mine are green. Yeah, I don't know. But I like the green ones. Very sweet. Apollo Creed. That's what I thought when I saw the last name Creed. I was like, interesting. We are currently at the 103, 22, 23, 24 mark. I'm watching this on Max. This is probably one of those you can dig up other places if you got a favorite bootleg site or something. Adonis Creed, Ellie Creed. Let God get his own cat. Yeah, exactly. Bones be knowing all the good quotes. Yeah, Bones, you figured out what we're going to watch this Tuesday? Like I said, usually on Tuesday I have a gig where I go over to Mr. Bones' channel and watch something with him. Sometimes Mayanne, sometimes Lamonia Demonia joins us. So occasionally Hobbs. I believe I'm stealing Echo's seat. Echo, when are you going to come back and take your chair back on Bones' channel? But yeah, Bones, let me know what we're watching this week, man. What's your theory? Pre-watch for me, Daddy. I will. You better believe if I know I'm gonna. So here the mom is tucking in the daughter, and the daughter's like having a premonition that something bad going on. And she's like, call Daddy and make sure everything's okay. But it's also like part premonition because it's a scary movie, but it's also, the little girl just lost her brother and her dad's off in another state. Of course she's freaking out, like call and make sure Daddy's okay. So the story itself, I don't know. I wonder if because a woman director directed it, it had more emotional beats. Like it was more sensitive to people's feelings than a normal horror movie is. Look at me being sexist. Here, Victor Pascal is now visiting the wife who's away, and he's planting in her mind the idea that something's going on. Discorporated. I don't know if that's a real word. You and Buzz are going to watch Twin Peaks. Yeah, I need it. I was thinking about that the other day. Me and you, I had promised you one time I got to watch Fire Walk with Me with you. So Fire Walk with Me was a creepy ass movie. I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed Twin Peaks, but not everybody enjoys Fire Walk with Me, but I thought it was awesome. I don't think Echo wants his seat. Twin Bogs, like Twin Peaks. I don't get that. There's the scene, the mom's on the phone calling back home, and there's a weird portrait in their house of this little kid wearing like a blue dress, and it's got like a top hat. I don't know if that's baby Zelda or who that's supposed to be. But then there's a black cat standing right next to it. So it feels like everything that's happening in the movie. And then later on, when Gage comes back, he has that same outfit on. It looks like a little like ringmaster for a circus, which is extra scary. I don't know why a top hat on a tiny child is scary, but it's scary. Well, Bones, yeah, I don't know. I might be a permanent host then if Echo isn't, or permanent guest host on the Boneyard. But you better tell me what we're watching so I can pre-watch, Daddy. So he calls in Judd. She calls Judd, and he's like, well, I'll have him call you. And she's like, don't bother. Fred Gwynne does really good in this. He's obviously most known as Herman Munster, and I love me some Munsters. But that's such a big, comical, goofy role. It's sort of a next level of, what's his name? Tootie or Muldoon on Car 54, Where Are You? I remember him from that. But by this point in his career, I don't know what else he had done. Let's see. Fred Gwynne as Judd Crandall. Bone, get ready for a few hours later. Fred Gwynne is most known for My Cousin Vinny. Oh, of course. He's the judge in My Cousin Vinny. He's great in that. As well as Pet Sematary, Car 54, Where Are You? And The Munsters. Munsters was only on for 2 seasons, huh? 72 eps? I would have thought it was more than that. Fred Gwynne was only in 66 films before he passed away in 1993. So he passed away 4 years after this movie was made. So he's right at the end of his life when he made this. But he does a good job in it. And as a tall man, I'm often reminded of the quote that you don't see many old, tall people. Because a lot of times, being a giant, your heart gives out or some other thing gives out. So to see an old, tall man makes me feel good. Like, okay, Fred Gwynne's got me. He proved it. He proved it can be done. Let's see here. Fred Gwynne selected filmography, thanks to Bones. I used to read them all, but Bones made me stop. He was in On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. And then his first film was in 1952. A bunch of TV. Littlest Angel, Dames at Sea. I don't know if I've seen any of these movies he's been in. He was in The Munsters' Revenge in 1981. The Mysterious Stranger. That's what you call when you like lay on your left hand for a while and it gets numb. He was in The Cotton Club. He was in Cain and Abel, Vanishing Act. The Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox. He was in Fatal Attraction as Arthur? I don't remember him being in Fatal Attraction. He was in Ironweed, Disorganized Crime, Pet Sematary, Shadows and Fog, My Cousin Vinny. So he was in My Cousin Vinny in 92 and he passed away in 93. So that's his, that is the selected filmography of Fred Gwynne. Let's see where we're at with the fellas in the chats. Also, I don't know if there are assigned seats. I've had a few people come and go. Yeah, Bones, he's got a rotating cast over there, but I'm part of the ensemble squad, so I'll ride it out. As soon as I'm feeling better, we'll definitely do a Fire Walk with Me watch along for sure. I remember you and JT had done one, and I kind of wanted to get in with you guys on that, but since you're an expert, I think you can talk about it twice. Same way my guy Marty Trashed Picture Show is like my Predator and Aliens expert. Jamie and my friend Charlotte with the werewolf North Star, but she's a Twin Peaks expert as well. So I was caught off guard because Zelda's back. The mom is at home because she's recuperating from losing her child, so she's freaked out, and she goes into one of the bedrooms and opens the door, and Zelda's spirit or whatever is in there. And she's having flashbacks, and there's Zelda, scary as hell. Just, man. And it's all a dream. God, I hate a jump scare. You're welcome to stay in the yard as long as you want, Sir Owl. Why, thank you. Yeah, there's whenever you see the boneyard watch-alongs, you'll notice the little owl hidden in the skulls in the boneyard there. Never found creepy kids scary. I was always pretty sure I could kick them away and run away because they got little tiny legs. I don't know, man. I've never understood that either. Something about little old people who look sickly and small children, they're scary. I don't know. There's something about them. Most parents, I think, have at one point or another woken up in bed and just the kids standing there at the foot of the bed like, what are you doing? You would be surprised how fast these you would be surprised how fast those time legs can go. Tiny legs can go. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, exactly. The munchkins be running. Gremlin or Professor, you got fast gremlins? Because this milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, Mr. Bones. Yeah, it does. Indeed, Jamie. Don't punt the baby. Let me see here. Where is brand banners, video clips? Let's see if this works.
I would have to charge.
Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. I could teach you.
I would have to charge.
Sorry, I love that. Shout out to Professor Macabro. What a fun guy. Watch, I'm going to get my first copyright strike. I'm going to be Khalees is mad. I bet she is. Don't punt the baby. Let's see here. You like that? Do you like what you see? And Kayla liked Professor Macabro fun. Hell yeah, he figured out clips. I know. I still haven't figured out that they shut off a little bit earlier than they need to, so you have to add like an extra second or two at the end. But I'm getting smarter every day, Bones. It's fun to watch me learn. Jamie loved it. Thank you. Yeah. So here, the wife is trying to rush back home because she feels like something bad is going bad at home. And they see, like I said, the Victor, the jogger who got hit and half his brain is hanging out, works as like a Griffin Dunn character in American Werewolf in London. So he's like her wingman, literally, because they're getting on a plane. But he's there like encouraging her and then influencing her to get back home. Thank you, Professor. I as soon as I thought of that, I was like, I don't know if YouTube's gonna let me use Khalees for that, but I'm gonna try it at least once and see if I get some sort of strike. I blame Unsolved Mysteries again, but my adult fear was to meet up with a sexy lady and have her go all praying mantis and kill me after coitus. The old Black Widow fantasy. Jamie says, I need to figure out clips. Yeah, I've been struggling with them because there's a thing at the bottom on the main page that lets you add clips, but then they never upload right or they don't buffer right or something. So I can never figure them out. But like
I saw the whole thing. It was awful.
See, it was awful, but they clip off too early. So you got to add an extra second or two at the end to allow for the fade out. So it's a learning process. I'm working on it. Just download them off YouTube and upload them to your stream under Brands Vid Clips, Jamie. Oh, okay. Look at Bones dropping some secret hacks and codes. Owlful, get it? Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the Professor Macabro's what is it? Blind Furry instead of Blind Fury, and I play an owl. Surprisingly, I think I'm typecast. But our buddy Larry, the horror cat dad, is in there as well.
Security lockdown initiated. All doors closing. Security lockdown initiated. All doors closing.
See, that's for me to keep people trapped in the chat so they can't leave. So here the wife has arrived back at home, and the husband is in the pet cemetery. He's got the kid buried under all the rocks, and he's begging for the kid to come back. Baby, come back. That's kind of cool. When he's walking back from the pet cemetery, there's like these stones along the walkway, but somehow they managed to get the fog just on the path. Like the grass around it doesn't have fog. I don't know how they did that. I'm assuming some sort of hot air, cold air genius figured out how to keep fog in one place, but pretty impressive shot. Don, I need like cemetery gates to close people into the bone. No, Bones, you're on the upswing. I noticed last week the Hills Run Red was another over 100. So Mr. Bones be putting on a good show. And I was weak last week because I didn't pre-watch. You know, it was all first-time reactions. Let's see Don freak out as a movie full of strippers and heroin use and brutal massacres, disfigured people who cut their face off with scissors. It's all there. Everything you need is in the Hills Run Red. I thought you couldn't download clips from YouTube unless you have premium for some reason. I don't know. What's the name of that movie where a kid finds a bunch of old spooky rocks, takes one home, and shit hits the fan? I don't know. Spooky rocks, huh? I was giving us many reactions. Yeah, I was. Bones would be talking about the movie, and you would just look over in the little corner, and me, and just like, what in the hell? But I enjoyed the Hills Run Red. It was a pain to find, but I recommend checking it out. I need to check out Cherry Falls. Apparently, that's the Hobbs wants me to watch that really bad, but a few other people have mentioned it as well. So if you've seen Cherry Falls, let me know, yay or nay, in the comments. Also, be sure to jump in that argument or discussion we were having earlier. Which do you like best? This Pet Cemetery, Pet Cemetery 2, the reboot of 2019, or Bloodlines from 2023? I'm going this. Bones is going part 2. I don't know if anybody's going to say Bloodlines is their favorite. Did Echo say that earlier? Maybe he did. Russian sex site. Yeah, that Lamonia found the Hills Run Red on some very sketchy site that had some crazy banner ads going on it. The whole time she watched the movie, there was a gynecological exam going on the side. Cherry Falls is good. For sure, give it a watch. See, I've never heard of it. I heard Hobbs likes it because of Brittany Murphy. Hobbs and Bones are the Gage and Church of my mind. I will intertwine them or mix them up constantly. I love Cherry Falls. I have the Scream Factory release. Can I borrow it? No, let me see. Where is Cherry Falls playing at currently? I think it was on Shudder because I was going to watch it actually. That might be my Father's Day present to myself. Cherry Falls 1999 horror mystery. Yes, it's on AMC Plus /Shudder. What is the description of Cherry Falls? A small town sheriff, Brent Markin, discovers the presence of a serial killer in his sleepy hamlet. Since the perpetrator has been targeting only virgins, both male and female, the deaths cause panic in much of the local high school population. Sheriff Markin's daughter, Jody, played by Brittany Murphy, is among the potential victims. Since she has sleep with her boyfriend, Kenny, can the lawman stop the killer before he goes after Jody? So that sounds kind of fun. That sounds like It Follows kind of thing, like the teen fear of sex, all the things that go along with growing into a sexual part of your life, the fears of STDs and unwanted pregnancies and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's one of the reasons I dig It Follows. It's like a creepy, scary movie, but it's also, it's more about preying on people's fears. All right, so the stuff is getting good here. Judd is alone in his house, and he hears noises, and he's pretty sure Gage is in there. So he goes upstairs in, I don't know what they call house shoes, I guess, slippers, but they're the kind that just cover up the front, so his heels are exposed. And this is, definitely an uncomfortable scene. But yeah, in case you hadn't guessed, Gage, the child that passed away, is now back and reborn, but reanimated, I guess is the word I was looking for. But he's back in evil, just like the cat was. I love Cherry Falls. The reboot is poop. Oh, the Pet Sematary reboot. I was like, they re-poop. That a boy. Give me another one on that, and that's you. Cherry Falls is a really good one to watch around Halloween. Oh, it's another Halloween flick. I always dig the hidden Halloween movies. When I was watching Ginger Snaps, I was like, I never realized this was a Halloween movie. So I may watch Cherry Falls once now and then once again at Halloween. I got a few months to let it wash over me. The story is the killer is killing virgins, so everyone be fugging. Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. It's a good way to keep from getting murdered. I loved It Follows. Yeah, I loved It Follows too a lot. The third act, the ending, is weak. I didn't like it, the whole stuff with the lamps or whatever, but the rest of it is awesome and memorable. There's where creepy ass zombie Gage cuts the Achilles tendon with one of the scalpels. The doctor, since the dad is a doctor, he has a scalpel in his medical bag. And there he cuts into his face. Speaking of face cutting, when we were watching Laid to Rest and then Chrome Skull, that's that movie's claim to fame, as more people get stabbed in the face than anything I've ever seen. Well, I don't know. I was saying that the reanimated people aren't zombies, but Gage did just bite out the throat of the dude. So, I mean, maybe that does fall into zombie category. I felt like it always just sort of gruesome murder stuff, but maybe there are zombie tendencies of these people. I know when the end, when it plays to the end that plays here, we'll talk about it when it gets here. That has some zombie feel to it. And by the way, Erica's here. EA Horror. Swamp Kitty, Swamp Kitty, Swamp Kitty. Don, have you seen Smile? When it first came out, I was calling it Smiles because it reminded me of It Follows. Yeah, I saw Smile. I did a spooky review of it on my channel. But I enjoyed Smile. I didn't think it would be that good, but it's got a fun kind of, I see how you could call it It Follows, where like the main character is seeing things and the other people aren't, and there's a sense of like being terrorized, but other people aren't on board with it, According to Uncle Google, that movie I was remembering is called The Darkness. It has Kevin Bacon in it, but not Darkness with Anna Paquin and not Darkness Falls. We went through this one time on Into House. And even talking about the different ones, I would still flip-flop them. I'd be talking about Darkness with Anna Paquin, but then refer to it as Darkness Falls, which is is that the one with Tooth Fairy? Is that what it is? Whatever. The names that all sound the same when they confuse my brain. I remember the plots more than I remember titles of movies. That's frequently why people will be like, have you ever seen whatever? Jumpin' Jacks? I'll be like, no. And they'll tell me the plot and I'll be like, yes. Gage's little growl. Yeah, I know. It's kind of adorable, but it's also scary as hell when he's like, "Argh," and then he digs in and bites into his throat. But don't watch it now, Don, because if you watch it after everyone is telling you how good it is, you're not going to like it. So give it Professor knows me. See, Prof, that's why you're my guy. You get a fist bump too. Yeah, I've complained about this before, the overhype problem. When I'm told that something's going to be great, I have too high of expectations. And instead of watching it and being like, oh, this is really good, I watch it as like, well, that's could be better or whatever. I don't know. I turn into a prick for some reason. I think I'm a natural contrarian or a prick. That's the easy version. But thank you, Professor. That is a good suggestion. Cherry Falls. Although, I don't know, that might be a good late night one. That sounds like one to watch in the dark with the spooky monster there, or the spooky serial killer. I hated It Follows. I was so bored, not scary at all. I didn't like the concept at all. Oh, I enjoyed it a great deal. I thought the idea of like the, almost like what we got going on here with the Victor, the hitchhiker, or the Griffin Dunn character in American Werewolf. The zombie or the dead person that or ghost or whatever you want to call it, that's influencing the characters, but the other people can't see it. So it just seems like you're crazy when you see something, but you know it's really there. Speaking of crazy, Zelda's back. Oh dear Lord. The wife gets home and she's trying to figure out what's up, and she goes over to Judd's and she opens up the door and Zelda's sitting in there. So it shows that like Zelda is traumatizing her and haunting her memories, and all this like repressed stuff with her being in the mom's mind is pouring back out as all this tragedy is going on around her. And then she closes her eyes, and when she opens them, Zelda has turned into Gage, and he's got the little cane and the hat. I don't know why that little outfit is so scary, but it is terrifying. I brought you something, Mommy. And he pulls out the scalpel. And the mom like kind of freaks out like, oh no, but it's her son. So she's happy to see him alive. So she's going to hug him, but it ain't going to turn out well. Oh, that's an interesting directing choice. I never noticed that before when I watched this. Oh, it's a dream. Gotcha. When Gage kills the mom, they cut to a shot of Gage in the road before the truck hits it. And then the father wakes up from a jump scare. But much as we saw earlier when he woke up from a jump scare and he had dirty feet, now he wakes up and he sees dirty feet in the house. So it's kind of a callback to that earlier dirty feet thing. So if you got a freaky dirty foot thing, that's probably a good movie for you. I don't know. But he realizes his scalpel is gone. So he knows that his crazy zombie toddler is now armed. That can't be good. Erica's laughing at me doing the Swamp Kitty dance. Yeah, I don't know where Bones gets these intros from. Did you download that from the internet or what, Bones? I don't know where you got that. Did you animate that by hand? I like to imagine him just like drawing the Swamp Kitty. Folks are saying hi to Erica. She's beloved. I love Darkness Falls. Is that the Tooth Fairy one? I'm still trying to remember. About the house, right, Professor? I own that movie. Oh, was that Darkness or Darkness? The Darkness. So much darkness. Are we talking about Charlie Murphy? Kind of a mind twister. Cherry Falls is too much fun. Nice. Throw her down the dumbwaiter, right? That's how they solve the problem later on. So the father realizes, he gets a phone call from his father-in-law, and she's like, your wife came back to see you. Did she arrive safely? And he kind of realizes like, oh, the wife is here and she don't know the zombie scalpel wielding killer baby is here. And this is all told in little dirty footprints in the kitchen. Something else parents everywhere can probably relate to. And as he starts to go down into the cellar, the phone rings, and here's the classic Gage calls him. I'm at Judd's, Daddy. Will you come over and play with me? First I played with Judd. Then Mommy came and I played with Mommy. Will you play, Daddy? We had an awful good time. Now I want to play with you. That shit is terrifying. And then he's like, what did you do? And all you hear is like the little kid giggling. So they make this toddler terrifying as hell. I have to get to bed. Good night, folks. Thank you for coming, Jamie. You get the traditional Oh, and by the way, I owe Mayanna. Yeah. And speaking of, yeah, you can get your Don Zombie shirts at the link pinned to the top of the chat or in the link in the description. Now available at the Night Owl merch store. Take care, Jamie Hart. I hope you keep feeling better. Yes, we like that Jamie's on the upswing. Now I want to play with you, right? Terrifying. See all that talking and taunting screams? Deadite. You're right. That does scream Deadite. But she's not sunken. Well, she is sunken cheeks. But that's a good call. Professor, you might be onto something. This might be a spiritual relative to the Eve movies. But I had said earlier on, the original plan was for this to be directed by George Romero. And then nobody wanted to make this movie because Stephen movies usually do bad at the box office. So then they eventually hit a writer's strike and they didn't have any movies to make. So the person who wanted to make it when they were at Embassy Pictures ended up working at Paramount, and they bought the rights for this. And then since George Romero wasn't available to direct because he was doing Monkey Shines, they ended up getting this woman, Mary Lambert. And I think she does a great job. There are certain parts of this that I totally feel like should be directed by Romero, the zombie stuff and all that. So the dad goes out and he captures Church, the possessed cat, and uses some sort of whatever in a syringe. I don't know. I'm sure they say probably morphine or something. What does it say? Yeah, morphine. So he tests the morphine out on a cat first to make sure it'll work. And sure enough, the cat's zonked out. And when he goes back into his house, it's just like, I don't know if he's hallucinating or what, but it's just filled with smoke. Oh, yeah, they're at Judd's house, right? And it's just filled with smoke and like moss and like green slime on everything. Like, I don't understand how that happened. I think these people are kind of hallucinating from the trauma. Your baby voice sounds like old creepy guy from Family Guy. Kind of. Come sit on my lap, Sonny. I want to play with you. Good night, Jamie. Yeah, I remember. I'm trying to remember what it was made for you. You had the, I think it was a Chucky doll or something, and you're like, he just wants to play with you. I'm like, don't say that. You're gonna give me Pet Sematary nightmares. So the dad is in the Judd's house, and he finds the mom's shoe. And since Gage already said that he played with mommy, he has a vague idea what has happened. I wonder if that moss is meteor shit. That's kind of what I was thinking. The Jordy Farrell or whatever from Creep Show. Man, laughing at me with the now he wants to play with you line. Now he wants to play with you, Sonny. What a weird character to have in a show. So he's stalking around the house looking for Gage, and we just hear the kid giggling in the background. So it's just extra terrifying walking through this empty, beat-up, old, creepy, haunted house, and we hear a disembodied child's laughter. Let's see here. I wonder if that means that moss is meteor shit. Ew, meteor shit. I think it is. We are at the 132 mark. So this movie has roughly, 14 minutes or something left, 10 minutes? What are you doing to me? Press play. So we're at the final showdown with him and Gage. And I remember the first time I saw this, when he injects Gage with the morphine and the kid stumbles away and he kind of falls down and like bumps into something. I don't know. It's like watching somebody slip or something. Your first reaction is to laugh, and then your second reaction is, okay. So the dad finds Judd's body and his face is all cut up. How did that little kid hide him under the bed? He must be strong. And where did he get that weird velvet nightgown he's wearing? So as he's walking around looking for Gage, the wife's body drops out of the ceiling, hanging by the throat. And it's this crazy jump scare. But then when he looks up in the attic at the hole, there's Gage all scary, and he jumps down and flies at him, like almost like supernatural possessed style, and begins biting at him. So this is some zombie stuff right here. But also Gage is using a scalpel. So is it just he's just bloodthirsty, or is he a zombie? A lot of questions to be answered in this. There he basically just pulled Gage off him and threw him across the room, kind of like Chucky. And it's just funny to see like this little like body fly across the room. And then Gage is all wobbly, and he picks up the knife or the scalpel and comes walking towards him. This little kid does a good job acting. And here we get the same thing they did before. The dad is looking at Gage all creepy, zombied, and he's thinking back to right before he died when he was holding the kite and all that. So there's these flashbacks of happy moments. Lots of good emotional drama in this to keep the stuff. So he stabs him in the neck with the syringe and injects him, and you can see like the life drain out of the dad's eyes. Like he can't believe he had to do this to his own baby. And then the kid turns back almost into like a little kid. He starts crying. No fair. No fair. And then there's where he kind of stumbles like he's a little drunk kid. That's the part I remember laughing at every time I see it. It's funny this time too. Yeah, this dude does a really good job. I can't believe he didn't get more roles after this. The movie made a good amount of money, and it has to rely on him. Him and Gage carry the movie, except for when Zelda steals it. But now all the bodies are in the house, so he's going to burn this house down the same way they burnt down the house with Timmy earlier. Because apparently that's what you got to do with evil. You just got to set it on fire. And the dad has completely had his ass whooped. He's covered in blood. And there he burns the house down. Oh, wow. I never realized they show the close-up of the child being set on fire. That's a lot to have in a movie. Sheesh. But then just when you think he's disposing of all the evil, he comes walking out with the wife's body. And we realize as an audience, uh-oh, this fool's going to go take her to the pet cemetery. Haven't learned anything, you idiot. But he explains to Victor, I think. Yeah, here's Victor telling him, I'm so sorry, but don't make it worse. And then he tells them, I waited too long with Gage. Since she just died, it'll work. Because it's the same thing we were talking about. He's so distraught over the loss that he would do anything to bring him back, and he would believe, he'd just keep making the same stupid mistake over and over again. But it'll work out of desperation. I don't think I've ever seen a ghost with their brain hanging out wearing running shorts. That's a very uncommon thing in films. So there he goes back up that rocky path that had all the fog in it before. Let's see here. Where we at here? Not fair. Not fair. I cried with that line. It's so funny, but it's so sad. Like, because he turns back into a sympathetic, little kid. You're kind of scared of the monster who slashes Achilles tendons, but clearly fake lightning. Clearly fake lightning. The trail of a man's heart is stonier, Lewis. A man grows a garden and then he tends it. Because what you buy is what you own. So they're playing Fred Gwynne's old voiceover. This movie does good with flashbacks, too. It always comes home to you. So the dad buries the mom in the pet cemetery, and he goes back home and sits down and waits. I find the ending of this to be similar to Thinner. That was another Stephen King book I read. I think Thinner works as a movie out of the King adaptations. It's one of the ones I enjoy. But the end of Thinner has a very similar scene where after all that's happened, the father ends up at home in the kitchen, and then, realizes whatever. And then we go from there. And that's the button on the film. So here the father's in the kitchen waiting for the wife to come home. And apparently the original ending, it was supposed to just be we see the wife's hand open the door and come walking in while he's playing solitaire. And it was supposed to end there. But the studio felt like it wasn't scary enough. It wasn't, the audience was wondering, like, what happened? And it was supposed to be pretty obvious. She came back and she killed him. But here we have to see her all zombied up and looking half deadite. Or half demon possessed. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe when they die and they come back, they're possessed by demons. So that's pretty disgusting and gross. The wife is started to decompose, and she comes walking in the door, and one of her eyes is missing, and pus runs down her face, and she's got cut up lips and face, and she's bloody. And they start making out. So it's supposed to be like, you're happy that they're back together and they're kissing, but also, why are you kissing pus face, lady? But just as they're making out and we think he's happy, he's falling for it, that we see that she has a big butcher knife. And that's where it ends with the Pet Sematary song. Pretty darn good movie. Fake Lightning, 0 stars. Exactly. To be fair, it is Tasha Yar. It's not like he could score another one anytime soon. Yeah, that's a good point. Let me see here. I don't know if this is true or not, but a long time ago, a woman told me she used to babysit Miko Hughes, and then he was mean to animals as a kid. Son of a bitch. I live in Oklahoma, and it's Indian territory here. Supposedly, Miko is a Chickasaw Indian. Nice. Yeah, the Miko is the kid Gage. He's I don't know, how old is he now? Probably he's got to be. Let's find out. He's a director? I didn't know that. Interesting. He's most known for Kindergarten Cop, Pet Sematary, Mercury Rising, and Apollo 13. He did 58 movies and directed 1. He's most famous for these, I would say, but everything else is like, Baywatch, Zeus and Roxanne. He was in New Nightmare in 1994. Interesting. Cops and Robertsons. The Parenthood. He was in Spawn, the movie, as Zach. Yeah, apparently Miko Hughes is in a bunch of stuff I was never aware of. I would have been telling people as an anecdote all the time. Hey, that's Gage from... he was in Surf School? He was in Tropic Thunder. Interesting. Well, Miko Hughes, I don't like the way you treat animals. I don't know if that movie messed you up or what, but you be a good boy, Miko. Miko is also a New Nightmare. Why do I even look these things up? The Bones has me. Damn it. Gage has me. Church has me. My all-time favorite King adaptation is Carrie. Yeah, what are your guys' favorite King adaptations? What's your all-time fave? I don't know if I have an all-time fave. Let's do Stephen King adaptations. I mean, obviously, Shawshank Redemption is like, masterwork of film, and it's, one of the greatest movies ever made. So most people would say that, but let's go with, here's a list of all the Stephen King movies. Holy crap. I know he's made, there are more than 100 of them. 1922, 1408, Thinner, Tales from the Dark Side, Suffer the Little Children. Oh, it's still coming out. Stand By Me is pretty darn good. I like Stand By Me. Sleepwalkers, Silver Bullet, The Shining, Shawshank Redemption, Secret Window. Silver Bullet's pretty darn good. I think most people would say The Shining is their favorite King adaptation. But yeah, Shawshank is probably the undisputed king just because of critical and box office success. Secret Window, Salem's Lot, The Running Man, Riding the Bullet, Pet Sematary reboot, The Night Flyer. That one's interesting. It's a vampire pilot, a Dracula pilot. Needful Things, My Pretty Pony. I never heard of that. Mr. Harrigan's Phone. I never heard of that. The Mist, I enjoyed. Misery, I think, is probably one of his best for sure. Mercy, Maximum Overdrive, The Mangler. The Mangler is the one about what, the laundry machine, I think. Part 1, The Losers Club. Oh, It Part 1 and It Part 2. Okay. In the Tall Grass, which is kind of a trippy, weird one. That's like a Twilight Zone episode. These people go into a field and they get trapped in there. It's kind of a weird, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's not very King-like, but it's scary. Hearts in Atlantis. Meh. Hearts, The Green Mile. The Green Mile's amazing. Graveyard Shift. That's one about the rats. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, To Be Determined. Gerald's Game. That one's pretty crazy. It's on Netflix. It's about S&M and a woman who's trapped in bed. Firestarter, Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher's, that's a guilty pleasure. It's awful, but it's fun. I don't know. Dolores Claiborne, a lot of people love it. It was a little too heavy-handed for me. It was like so heavy-duty drama that it was hard to dig into. Dolan's Cadillac, Dr. Sleep, The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone's one of my personal favorites. I don't expect everybody else to say that's one of King's best, but I love The Dead Zone. The Dark Half, The Dark Tower, Cujo, Creepshow 2, Christine. Christine's pretty darn good. Children of the Corn. I wouldn't say that's his best, but I like Children of the Corn. Outlander, We Have Your Woman. Cell. Cell was, I don't know. Other people said it was awful, but I kind of enjoyed it as a weird, just what the hell is this type movie. And it had a fun message that like cell phones turn people into zombies and stuff. So I don't know. Cat's Eye, the anthology. I think the one where the Quitters Inc. or whatever with James Woods, that's probably the best version of that. Carrie, a lot of people would say that might be his best. The Boogeyman, Apt Pupil, and A Good Marriage. Is there a page 2? No. Doesn't have The Dark Tower. Oh yeah, The Dark Tower is in there. I don't know. Let me know in the chat what you guys think is your favorite Sting or favorite Stephen King or your favorite Sting movie. I don't know. Dune, probably. Miko is also in another. Pause. Love and hate for me. LOL. Could just be hearsay. The Night Flyer is her favorite. Dead Zone, right, Don? See, Macabro knows I love me some Dead Zone. Yeah, that's a personal fave because it's much like this. It's got so much emotional baggage attached to all the scary stuff. Let's see here. The Mist. Yeah, I enjoyed The Mist. I really enjoyed the ending of The Mist. I think much like this, much like Thinner, a lot of the King stories end on a downer. And the one in The Mist is such a kick in the gut, you know. It TV movie garnered a significant following. Yeah, it did. I'm indifferent. I have a love-hate relationship with the It miniseries. Tim Curry is so amazing as Pennywise that he's iconic. Just even seeing the image, you're like, I love it. But every time I watch it, I'm like, it's, I don't know, that the movie itself isn't as good as the remake one that made $1 million bajillion. Horror would be kind of sad without Stephen King. Yeah, I like Stephen King. He's a byproduct of the Twilight Zone and George Romero, basically. And you can see the Twilight Zone and George Romero all over his stuff. And then King and Romero became friends later on. So like in Night Riders, which is a George Romero movie, Stephen King has a cameo in that. But yeah, Stephen King's kind of amazing in his own way. Deadites, yeah, from Dreamcatcher. I lost interest in Cell. It's the end and where it builds to, I don't know, but the concept up front of the cell just turns people into because they're all looking at their phones. At Pupil was good. Yeah, I don't know. At Pupil's been kind of canceled, I guess, because the dude who directed it turned out to be a kid creep. But I don't know. I think Ian McKellen's performance in it, and what's the kid Brad Renfro, maybe, pretty much good. Much like with the remake, the part with the kids is amazing in it, but both versions with the adults just never have the same punch for me. Yeah, the adult version, I liked it. The new one, It Part 1, better than It Part 2. What's Part 1 called? Losers Club or whatever. Yeah, Part 1 is the Losers Club, and then It Chapter 2. Well, why didn't you call Part 2 : something? I don't know. Let's see. Now that the movie's over, we get to play one of my favorite games, which is You May Also Like. If you liked Pet Sematary, you may also like Pet Sematary 2, Cujo, Evil Dead Rise. So there you go, Professor. There's your Deadites. I also feel like the redheaded mom in Evil Dead Rise has a real Zelda vibe to her. They look like they could be sisters. Fright Night. I think they're probably recommending Fright Night because much the same way that Tubi keeps pushing Demolition Man on people, HBO just re-added Fright Night, so they're pushing it on every stream. Carrie, Friday the 13th. The Strangers. Yeah, I could see being in the house, being stalked. Carrie 2013, I should say. Urban Legend. I was just talking about Urban Legend the other day on the chat. On Into House, we were discussing Urban Legend. I need to rewatch it. Evil Dead 2013. That's a good movie. Scream 1996. The Amityville Horror 79. Amityville Horror 2005. Poltergeist 2. Huh. Yeah, maybe a little. Friday the 13th remake 2000 or whatever, the Platinum Dunes one 2009. The Vivitch. Huh. I don't know if I would connect The Witch to this or not. That's a tough call. Krampus. Yeah, I don't know if I would say Krampus. Sinister, for sure, I would connect to it. Sinister feels like something Stephen King wrote, but just didn't get the credit for. It feels like a Stephen King movie all the way. I enjoy it, Sinister a lot. I know a lot of people think the boogeyman being called Bagul is kind of lame, but I thought it was pretty good. Poltergeist, the remake, 2015. Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm anti-Conjuring 3. I liked 1 and 2, but they pissed me off with 3. Cabin Fever 2003, Children Corn 2, Carrie 2, The Rage, Dark Skies, Friday the 13th, Wes Craven Presents They have endless. Oh, The Strangers Pray at Night, Friday the 13th, Part 7. Yeah, supernatural stuff, I guess. Friday the 13th, Part 5, The Beginning. Yeah, I don't know about that one either. But that has been me watching Pet Sematary with all of you in the chat because you guys are wonderful. And as I always say, the co-host of the show are the folks in the chat. So folks like Macabro and Erica and Mayanne and Mr. Bones, you guys are my lifeline on these. So I appreciate y'all being here so much. Macabro says, I would like to live deliciously. I would too. Black Phillip for President 2024, right? I love Black Phillip. The first time I watched The Vivitch, and I'm insisting on calling it that. I know it's The Witch, but I don't know who decided double V was the way to go with that title, but it gets me every time. But yes, I'm going to thank all of you for joining me tonight and hanging out with me, and I appreciate you much for being here. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there, as well as mothers who have to be fathers and people who take care of or fathers to pets. There's a lot of fathering to be done in the world, and without them, things wouldn't get done. So I appreciate you. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mayanne. Thank you so much for being here and staying up with us. I know you dig this movie, so it was important you were a lifeline on this one, part of the team. Happy Father's Day indeed. Take care, everybody. Happy Father's Day. I think that's a great place to wrap up with everybody sending shout outs to dads and whatnot. So I thank all of you for being here, and I thank all of you for appreciating Pet Sematary 1989 with me. It was a fun time. Catch me this Tuesday on Mr. Bones' channel. I'll be there watching something. I don't know if he'll let me pre-watch or not. And I also have a few live streams up my sleeve for us to watch together. So stay tuned to this channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. And be sure to get yourself some Night Owl merch while you're at it. There are a bunch of plugs at the end. So I will wrap up those plugs by saying that I really do appreciate you guys. And I wish you nothing but green grass and high tides forever, my friends.